Welcome back to the Lean and Lionhearted podcast. I am your host, AJ Quimson, IFBB Pro. And in today's episode, I'm going to do something a little bit different, but it's going to be a solo episode, and I'm going to be here teaching you more about nutrition. What are the most important things to worry about in order when it comes to your diet? And it's a little bit different, but this is the Lean and Lionhearted podcast, and I want to make sure that you are equipped with all the tools that you need to be successful in your health and fitness for the rest of your life, whether it's just you listening to this podcast or if you're working with me in my program. But I want to give you the most important things in order of what you need to worry about when it comes to your diet, because there's a lot of shit out there in the internet. Worry about sodium, worry about what time you go or what time you eat before you go to bed, worry about doing this cleanse, all of this shit that doesn't really matter, or it doesn't matter as much as you think, and you're putting too much emphasis on it. And so we're going to go over these 6 things in order, because I want you to not have to make the mistakes that I made, right? And so this first one is the most important thing that you got to worry about. And it's something that when I say it, it's going to be like, duh, right? I'm going to take you back, right? This is the year is 2012. I was in college. I lived in this little tiny room in a co-op house, and I was trying to get in shape for the rest of my life, right? I was trying to get in shape. I wanted a 6-pack. I was playing college sports at the time, and I really started to feel that I was getting pretty damn fat. I was sluggish. I kind of had this swollenness in my hands. When I bent over, I felt my stomach like go up into my chest. And I was like, dude, what the hell is this? And so I started looking on the internet for all these different things to do, and I stumbled across keto. And keto, sounds like this great magical thing. You just eat whatever you want, but just don't eat carbs, so you can eat as much as you want. There's varying guidelines around what you could see, and it's supposed to get you this crazy fast fat loss. So it sounds amazing, right? And so I would hop on keto, and then I'd do it for a little bit. I was eating like steak and cheese and salami and stuff like that, right? And I thought it was great because I love those foods. But what would happen is I would eventually want some carbs. And so even though I'd been doing it for a week or 2 weeks or maybe even 3 weeks sometimes, and I'd lost some weight, I would always fall off because it wasn't something that I could stick with. It wasn't a long-term solution for me. And honestly, I just didn't have as much willpower back then. And that is the very base of this pyramid of importance. So you can call it the diet priority pyramid, the nutritional hierarchy, whatever you want to call it. But the very base of it, the foundation from which everything is laid, is adherence. Because if you can't stick to the plan, it doesn't matter what the plan is, because you're not going to do it, right? So when you're thinking about what you're doing with your diet, it has to be something that you can realistically adhere to, and something that you can do for a long time. Because just like I was doing keto for a few weeks, like anybody can do anything for a few weeks. But if you plan on stopping, or if it's something that you don't see yourself being able to realistically do long term, that means you're going to stop. And when you stop, you get you lose all your results because you go back to doing what you were doing. And usually that means being fat, right? So most important thing, the foundation from which you lay everything, is adherence, right? And like I said, it's probably obvious now that I say it, but a lot of people just don't think about that. And myself included, right? Like, you want these fast results. You want something that's going to get you to feel better about yourself right now. And so you don't really care how you do it. But, once you start doing it, you're like, oh yeah, I do care, right? I don't want to eat nothing but cheese and steaks for the rest of my life. I want some bread and rice and carbs, So that takes me to the second most important thing. I don't know why I threw up. If you're watching the video, I just threw up two times. But anyways, the second most important thing, the next level up in this diet priority pyramid, right? And this is something that I learned from let's just call it snacking on healthy foods, right? I was told that if you just eat clean, you just, eat clean, whole foods, you'll be okay because it's nutrient dense and it's going to help you lose fat. And while that is true, I was eating unlimited amounts of chicken breast, brown rice, and broccoli. And when I wanted a healthy snack, because I was crazy addicted to sweets, I would eat apples and peanut butter, which, is supposed to be healthy, right? Natural ingredients and all that. But I would just eat unlimited amounts, so I would eat maybe 3 apples with probably a quarter to half a jar of peanut butter at a time, which is not great. And so that lesson is the second step up on that pyramid, and it's calories, right? If you are eating too many calories, you will add some type of tissue to your body, whether it's fat tissue or, hopefully muscle if that's your goal. But if you're eating more than your body needs, you will be putting something on because it's going to store that extra food. On the flip side, if you are eating less than your body needs, it needs to pull that energy from somewhere else. And that's either going to be your fat or your muscle, depending on a bunch of other factors that we'll get into later, right? But that's the next step up on that pyramid. So this first most important thing, adherence. You need to be able to adhere to whatever it is that you're doing, because if you don't stick to it, no more results. Second thing is your calories have to be in check. It doesn't matter. Nothing else matters really if you're not eating the proper amount of calories for whatever your goal is. It's just not going to happen, right? And so the calories is important, but this next, and it's probably something that you have obviously heard of, and it's been kind of popularized, in mainstream media. Eat less calories, do this, do that, right? But the next step up is equally, if not, maybe slightly less important than calories, right? Because at the end of the day, calories needs to be in check. But the next step up is macronutrient intake, right? So the breakdown of the types of foods that make up those calories that you're eating. So you got adherence, calories, macronutrient breakdown. And so you want to think about the total amount of calories that you're eating like your bank account, right? You've got, let's just say, a $3,000 budget every day, or, if you want to talk about budget, you could think about it in a month, right? But you've got 3 bills to pay. You've got protein, you've got carbs, and you've got fats. So if you ever heard of flexible dieting, or if it fits your macros or anything like that, it's referring to tracking these macros. It's just a step above just tracking calories, because the different macronutrients have a different breakdown, or they do different things in our body, and they serve different purposes. So having the proper macronutrient ratio for your goals and for your body is going to be super important, right? Protein is going to be there to help you build and retain muscle mass. If you want that toned look, that means you want to have some muscle mass, because if you're losing 20 pounds, but a bunch of it is muscle, you'll be 20 pounds smaller, but you're just going to look skinny fat, right? And, most people don't want that, right? So you need protein for that. Carbs, your primary source of energy. Now, you don't need to eat another carb for the rest of your life, and you will survive because it is non-essential, but it is your body's primary source of energy. It's your muscles, your brain, all of that stuff. So if you want to perform better in the gym, or just like activity wise, you want to have some carbs in your system. You want to have that around your workout. You want to fuel your workout. But that's the purpose of carbs, right? And carbs will help you have the energy to push harder in the gym and build muscle. And then fats are essential to life. It's essential for hormone production, your fat soluble vitamins, yada, yada, yada. But the breakdown of the macronutrients, how much protein, how much carbs, and how much fat that you have within the amount of calories that you're eating matters, because some people, they just respond better to lower carbs and higher fat. And on the flip side, some people respond better to higher carbs and lower fat. And if you're only worried about calories, 2,500 calories of pretty much only carbs and fat is going to react much differently in your body than protein a balanced diet of protein, carbs, and fats, right? That balanced diet is going to have you more in line with your goals because you're going to be retaining muscle. It's going to fuel your workouts. You're going to feel better, all that kind of stuff, right? And so those three things alone, just your adherence, your calories, and your macros will get you 75 to 80% of where you need to go. Nothing else is as important as those three things. Everything else beyond what I'm about to say now is just these little things that can get you 1, 2, 3, maybe 5% better. But what's really important is those first three things. And for most people's goals that just want to lose a little bit of weight or they want to put on a little bit of muscle, they're not trying to be the peak of human performance or the pinnacle of what you can do with your physique. That's all you really need to worry about. Right? Bodybuilders worry about the rest of these things because in bodybuilding, you're trying to optimize everything that you're doing. You're trying to squeeze every little bit of progress that you can get out of your body, which means you have to take care of 100% of what you can control. But for the regular person, your goal is probably 70% of what your body could do. And so you want to think about the adherence piece where you just want to optimize for what's going to help you get to the goal, but also realistically, what are you going to be able to adhere to long term and what's going to stick in your life? Because, I'm not saying this is, but let's just say eating 6 meals a day was the most optimal thing for fat loss or to achieve a certain physique. But if you can't eat 6 meals a day, then what does it matter, right? You need to find the option that's going to be best suited for you. And so those three things are the most important. And then now we will move on to the top 3 things on the pyramid, which are less important, right? So the next thing would be food sources. So, we've got calories, or we've got adherence, we've got calories, and then we've got the macronutrient breakdown. But some people take this whole, if it fits your macros and flexible dieting thing extremely far, right? I think we can all agree that eating processed food is probably not the greatest health-wise in terms of micronutrients and, just having processed foods and chemicals. I think we can all agree it would probably be better if you had less processed stuff, right? But in this day and age, it's not really realistic to think that you're never going to eat anything processed ever again. The trick is, number 4, which is food sources or food quality, is how much of that are you going to have, right? You want to have a balance. You want to have, let's say 80% clean, whole foods, foods that are closest to its form in nature, like berries or, a protein source like meat, something like that, something that's minimally processed. And then you can have 20% of your fun things, right? But if you're literally only worried about the calories and macros, will you be able to lose fat? Yes. Can other things happen, like your gut gets inflamed or your digestion's messed up, or maybe you're just never full because you're eating only processed things, a bunch of different things, right? And so, or you're eating, you're taking in protein that's super low quality, or, whatever it is, right? So food sources are the next step up. If you can get higher quality food sources, cleaner food sources, quote unquote, just foods that are closest to their form in nature, that would be the next step up in this nutritional hierarchy of order of importance, both for, it'll help a little bit with your physique goals, but it will help a lot with, your overall health. Now, the next thing, this is something that most people focus on entirely too much. And it comes from that idea that you need to eat a lot of small meals throughout the day in order to lose fat to keep your metabolism going. No, it doesn't. It's bullshit, right? But it's meal timing, right? How many times you eat a day, what time you eat certain meals, it doesn't really matter that much, right? If your calories and your macronutrient breakdown is equated, right? If you eat the same amount of food, it's going to, be the same amount of energy in your body, and it's going to do the same things. Now, can it affect your digestion if you have poor meal timing? definitely. Or not poor meal timing, but like, if you're smashing like one meal a day, that's like 2,500 calories with 200 grams of protein in one sitting. Like, yeah, like that could probably mess up your digestion if you're not ready for it. So meal timing in that sense can be important, but also meal timing is important in the sense that when you're worried about, when you're worried about changing your physique, right? Either losing fat or building muscle, your most important part of the day, activity-wise, is going to be your weight training session, because that weight training session is going to either challenge your muscles into growing, which means putting on muscle, or keeping those muscles challenged so that it gives your body a reason to maintain that muscle. So training is super important if you want to maintain that muscle, you want to achieve that toned look, and also the more muscle you have, the higher your metabolism is, which means it'll be easier to cut technically because you're eating more food. And also, who doesn't want to eat more food and be losing weight, right? More muscle, good. But because that weight training session is the most important part of your day activity wise, that means fueling that workout is important, right? And so from a diet perspective, you want to fuel that workout properly with a mixture of protein, carbs, and fats, but you want to have a good amount of your carbs, before the workout, because you want to have that primary source of energy in your body to be able to fuel that workout. That your body's going to do best in a weight training session with carbs. So you want to have a good pre-workout meal, and that's where, in my opinion, meal timing can be very, very important. In a bodybuilding sense, it's different. You need to have your meals timed, because your body needs to be predictable. But as an everyday person who's just trying to lose weight, meal timing, very, very, very small percentage of what's going to really affect everything, other than fueling that workout and staying satiated, which comes back to adherence. And then the last thing, which is the very, very top of the pyramid, which is the absolute least important, is supplements, right? Everybody thinks that they can buy this magic supplement, this magic pill, and they're all of a sudden just going to be losing a ton of fat, and it's just going to melt off their body because this diet pill says if you take this, you could lose up to 30 pounds in 2 weeks, right? That's bullshit. There's no pill on earth that is going to you're just going to take it and magically fat will melt off you. Nothing else has to be done, right? Like none of those supplements are even going to have a huge effect. And so the idea that you can buy some supplement and it's going to do this is just bullshit, right? Supplements are a very, 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 very small percentage of what's going to help you, right? And if it's like let's just call it 2%, even if you had the perfect supplement regimen, 2% of 100 is still absolutely nothing, right? So worry about the things that matter first, which is the whole purpose of this entire episode. And I'll go through the whole pyramid again, but just a thought, I worked in the supplement industry for a long time, and just the amount of times that you see people that just come in, buy a fat burner because it says it burns fat. Like, it doesn't, it helps you do things that burn fat. Like, it might help optimize like fat burning processes, or it might give you more energy to be more active, or it might suppress your appetite because caffeine is an appetite suppressant. Like, it does those things, but it's not just helping you magically lose fat without any of the things that I've already mentioned, because like I already said, adherence, calories, macronutrient breakdown, food quality, meal timing, and then supplements. In that order, those are the things that you got to worry about. Those are the different levers that you can pull to create a program or a lifestyle that's going to fit you and also get you to your goals. But last thing on the supplements, if there was a supplement that truly, truly, truly helped you burn fat without having to do anything, don't you think everyone in this goddamn world would be taking it? Probably. So when people are promising this stuff, you got to be kind of mindful about how they word things. It says like, lose up to 32 pounds with this detox pill. It's just going to make you shit everything out, right? So it's like, if you got a lot of shit in your stomach, maybe it'll help you lose a bunch of weight, but that's not fat. I digress. But again, the point of this episode was just to give you the most important things in order to worry about for your own fitness goals, right? And I'm not saying any of these things are things that you should never worry about, but you have to kind of understand, where do they fall in line in the order of importance, right? Like, should you be worrying about what supplements you're taking before you worry about whether you're on a diet that you can adhere to, has your calories in check, and has the right macros for your goals? No, absolutely not. It's not going to get you anywhere. And if you focus on something like sodium, not going to matter. If you focus on how many meals you have in the day without worrying about the amount of calories and the macronutrient breakdown, it's not going to get you anywhere, right? So don't focus on those last three things, which is only food quality, only meal timing, and only supplements, because that is not going to get you the results that you're looking for. Those first three things, the adherence, the calories, and the macronutrient breakdown, is going to get, again, like I said, it's going to get you pretty much all the way to your goals. And then from there, you're going to optimize, maybe I want to have higher food quality. I want to have a better micronutrient intake. I want to be healthier along with looking good. And then, the meal timing, you want to have more effective workouts, or you want to have more energy at certain times of the day, or you notice that if I'm really, really hungry at night, I can't sleep well, and the only thing that's on my mind is eating more food. Maybe put some more food at that time of the day. That's when that matters. And then supplements, the very, very cherry on top. If there's something that you're not getting into your diet nutritionally, like if you're not getting in enough micronutrients, definitely get a multivitamin. Definitely get a high quality fish oil. That's going to be, high in EPA and DHA content. That's what you take the fish oil for. Take supplements because it's something that is going to make you healthier, and or help your performance in whatever you're trying to do. But don't think that you're going to buy supplements and that's going to get you everything that you're looking for. But yeah, so I'm just going to go over the last point one more time. The most important thing, number one, is a diet that you can adhere to. It doesn't matter how perfect or how optimal any diet is if it's not something that you can follow, right? And that diet, whatever that diet is that you can adhere to, whether it's keto or, whatever, right? It has to have your calories in check, because if you're taking in more energy than your body needs, it's going to add tissue. If you are not, then you are going to be using or getting that energy source from either your muscle or your fat, right? So the calories is the next most important. And then the macronutrient breakdown. We have to have we want to have certain amounts of each of the macronutrients to help fuel our goals and, get us to where we need to go, whether it's retaining muscle or having good workouts, or being satiated and, having enough fat for our hormones and fat soluble vitamins and things like that. Those are the three things that matter. And then if you've got those three things down and you want to optimize, then you start adding things in like food quality, if you can afford it, right? Like having higher quality foods. And then you can start worrying about meal timing, and then you can start worrying about supplements. But focus on those things that are going to move the needle the most, not these little things that aren't doing shit for you and then just leave you more frustrated. But yeah, that's the end of the episode. Hopefully you found that helpful. If you like these things, or this style of episode and things that are going to help you get along your goals, comment below if you're on YouTube, if you're on podcast, on any podcast streaming service, maybe leave a 5-star review. I don't know what it does, but I think it's helpful. But if not, don't leave a review. If it's not 5 stars, I'm just kidding. But yeah, if you like these style of episodes where it's just me and I'm teaching you stuff, let me know. You can send me a message on Instagram. You can comment down below on the YouTube video if there's something specific that you want me to talk about. Also, just let me know on Instagram or in the comments of the YouTube section. But for now, that's pretty much it. Thanks for listening.